Good morning. Let us get started with this chapter 9, Management of Quality. A short definition of quality uh, would be the ability of a product or service to consistently meet or exceed customer expectations. So, there are a few important aspects of this definition. First and foremost, everything is targeted towards customer expectation, what the customer expect to get from the product. Next, it is not only product but also service. Quality is applicable for both product and service. The next important aspect of this definition is consistently. So it should not only satisfy customer expectation at one point of time, it should consistently meet or exceed customer expectation. Unfortunately, prior to 1970s and 1980s, quality was not a focus point for most US companies. But slowly US companies started understanding the importance of quality, and that was mostly because of the onslaught from international manufacturers. If you take the example of auto manufacturers, Ford and GM started implementing quality measures after the onslaught from Japanese manufacturers like Toyota and Nissan, and also Honda, of course. So US companies now give a lot of importance. Now, these are some of the proponents of quality. These are the people who started with the definition and understanding of what quality is. Walter Stewart, he's called the father of statistical quality control. He used statistical tools to understand and measure quality. Edward Demings, um, he was another person who made quality really um, applicable in industry perspective. He started with um, advocating for quality in US. Then he had visited Japan, where many of his principles were put into practice. And finally, companies like General Electric, put um, some of the guidelines he had stated in their manufacturing and production practices. Quality can be broadly divided into two subdivisions. One is being reactive and other is proactive. The reactive is when a problem happens in any of your product, the company gets reactive to stop that from reaching customers. So you should understand, in this reactive strategy, the problem has happened and then it is stopped. In the proactive strategy, the company or the organization stops the problem from happening. So you can understand which is better. Of course, proactive is better because that stops the problem from happening, or at least that is the basic objective. Like, the problem should not happen in the first place. What are the different dimensions of product quality? Now we are talking about product quality. Performance, the way the product is performing, of course, that's most important. Next, aesthetics, how it looks and feel or taste. Special features, whether it has got any bells and whistles or not. Most products which we use now has got some bells and whistles, some additional or extra feature. Conformance, every product has got a specification. A good quality product is one which conforms to the specification. Reliability is consistency of performance. Durability, the useful life of the product, how long it is durable. Perceived quality, indirect evaluation of quality. I'll just talk a little bit about the perceived quality. Um, Most often, we don't know what is inside the hood. Say you buy a Lexus, do you actually know what is inside the hood, how it is different, or how it is better than a normal Toyota? You don't. But we have the perceived notion that Lexus has better quality than Toyota. They are again, they have the same mother company, Toyota. Lexus is made by Toyota, but they're supposed to be better in quality. But as a normal user, we really don't know many of the specifications of their engines and transmission, but we perceive that it has a better. The other dimensions of quality are courtesy, tangibles, consistency. Again, these are very much intuitive. Courtesy, the way the customers are treated. Tangibles are physical appearance of facilities, equipments, personnel. Okay, so you walk in a store to get some service. How are things laid out? How are the equipments? And how is the information given to the customers? So those are all part of the tangibles. Consistency is the able to meet the same service through a long period of time. So that is consistency. Assessing service quality. How can you assess service quality? Again, it is difficult. It is difficult than assessing the service, assessing the quality of a product. Audit service to identify its strengths and weaknesses. In sometimes you have to look for discrepancies between what the customer expect and the management's perception of what those expectations are. Sometimes people who are providing the service doesn't know what customers are expecting, so there is a mismatch between two, service quality and service um, actually delivered. So there can be some mismatch between what is being promised and what is actually being delivered. Customers' expectation of the service provider and their perception of provider delivery. Okay, so as we have said, like, there can always be mismatch between those two. So things should be well defined by the service provider. Like, this is what the customers can expect. It should be spelled out well. Otherwise, you go in a store to get your oil changed, in a service station to get your oil changed, and you are waiting for an hour, which might not be a pleasant experience. So it should be spelled out that the waiting time can be long. So the expectations should be set in such a way so there is no mismatch between the customer's expectation and the way the things are being done or delivered. Some of the determinants of quality are quality of design, conformance, ease to use, and user instruction after sales service. Before a product goes into manufacturing comes the design phase. So design should be done in such a way that it is of superior quality. After design is being done, it goes into production, and the production should make sure that the product is made based on the design, so it conforms to the design. Next, it should be easy to use. The product which is being manufactured, it should be easy to use for their target audience. Many products have failed just because it is beyond what their consumers um, are able to use. Like, say, TI comes with a calculator, which is a wonderful piece of instrument, but it is not that easy to use for the target audience, which might be students. So it is a scientific calculator, very complicated. It can do wonderful tasks, but unfortunately it is not easy to use. So that is not part of good quality. The other thing about good quality is after sales service. Many companies have suffered because of this. Companies, even big companies like HP, um, in the early days, they did not have a very good image about after sales service, which did affect their quality. Benefits of good quality: enhanced reputation. Companies like Apple, they are market leaders because of high quality. You can Once you have a good quality, they can command higher price. The market share increases, the customer loyalty increases, the liability cost comes down, fewer after sales service, fewer production or service problems, higher profit margin. So if you just think of Apple, you think you'll see that most of these are applicable because they produce a product which is of good quality. I'm not saying that other brands are bad or of poor quality, but Apple is a company which has, for a long period of time, produced products which are of consistently good quality. Responsibility for quality. Now, quality is not responsibility of only one department. Say, in a production firm, there is a quality assurance department, but quality is not only their responsibility. Quality is responsibility of the whole organization. All personnel working in an organization has the responsibility to improve their product. He may be with production, he might be with information technology, he might be with logistics, he might be in finance, but everyone has got a role to play as far as quality is concerned. Everyone's input makes the product finally of good quality. The other cost associated with quality is appraisal cost and prevention cost. Appraisal cost is to find out um, how the quality of the product is. The cost of actively designed to ensure quality or uncover defect. So appraisal cost is, uh, in the production line there are some defects. So you have to spend some time and energy to find out those product. So that is appraisal cost. The other end of the spectrum is prevention cost. That is, you train people um, in total quality management so that everyone becomes responsible for improving quality, and finally bad quality products are prevented from happening, or faults are prevented from happening. So those are prevention cost. um, One is being proactive and one is reactive. The appraisal cost is reactive, the prevention cost is proactive cost. Ethics and quality, substandard work, defective products, substandard services, uh, poor design. So, those are all aspects of substandard work. Having knowledge of this and failing to correct and report it timely manner is unethical. So it is responsibility, as I have said in the beginning, it is responsibility of all organizations or all personnel in the organization to identify defect and to improve quality. So if someone sees some problem happening, it is his responsibility to make that uh, problem highlighted and let their supervisors or co-workers know about it. Quality certification. There are a lot of third party organizations, there are a lot of international organizations who provide certificate of quality. ISO 9000, uh, set of international standards or quality management, quality assurance. So again, there these organizations, what they do is they provide a certificate that things are of high quality. Okay. Why do we need it? Many times, say you are buying a product which is being manufactured um, by a company whom you doesn't know, or even if you know, you really don't know what technology goes into manufacturing that their product. So these companies, these international certification organizations, what they do, they get into the production process, not only the final product, but also in the production process, and they try to understand how the things are done and whether the process is of superior quality or not. And based on that, they provide certifications. So ISO stands for International Organization for Standards, and they provide wide range of certifications. And one of that certification is a quality certification. ISO 9000, again, they have got different revisions. Over here we mention about the ISO 9000, the 2000 edition, or the one which was published in 2000. The different principles are customer focus, leadership, involvement of people, like everyone should be involved if you want to improve quality, process approach. It is not the final product, but it is the process which improves the product. So stress should be given on what process are being used to make the product. Systems approach to management, continual improvement. The continual improvement says that mm, if you don't improve your product continuously, your competitors will do that, and they will eventually become more successful in the market. So that is the principle of continual improvement. Uh, Factual approach to decision making. So to understand whether you are improving your quality or not, you have to rely on facts. You have to gather information, uh, use statistical tools to take your decision on this quality measurement and quality improvement. Mutually beneficial supplier relationship. So you should make your suppliers aware that if the product provide you with good quality product, your market share will increase, your profitability will increase, and finally they will also get a cut of the increased profitability. So they will understand. You should make your suppliers understand the importance of good quality, because what are the different TQM elements? What are the different components of TQM? Continuous improvement, competitive benchmarking. Competitive benchmarking means like in every industry there is a standard, or there are companies who are the best in the lot. Say, as for I'm just taking an example. It's not written in stone. It changes. Say, for cell phones, Apple is a very good brand like iPhones. So you can set that as a standard, that as a benchmark, and make your product based on that benchmark, like how much percentage you're getting close to that benchmark, maybe 80%, 90%, or maybe even 100%. Employee empowerment. Everyone is empowered so that he or she can um, give effort and take decisions to improve quality. It is a team approach. Everyone is responsible. Decision based on facts, knowledge of tools, supplier quality champion, quality at the source. Suppliers are partners in the process. Now, I'm sure that um, we have discussed most of these in the previous slides. So it is not only one organization, but it is beyond the organization, that everyone is responsible to improve quality. One of the main factor of TQM is continuous improvement. Now there is a Japanese word called Kaizen, which stands for continuous improvement. As I've discussed in the previous slide, like the company who have implemented TQM, they strive to improve continuously, because the belief, if they don't improve, their competitors will improve and eventually will take over their customers. Another very important aspect of TQM is individual empowerment, making the workers responsible for quality improvement. It also says that do it right, if it isn't right, fix it. So all employees, all workers, they are entrusted with the responsibility to do things correctly. If they identify any mistake, they should correct it right away. So they should not let any mistake uh, pass under their supervision. What are the obstacles of TQM? Lack of company wide uh, definition of quality. As we have discussed before, TQM is mm, involvement of every individual in the organization to improve quality. If that's not done, TQM cannot be implemented. It is again a long-term vision. If there isn't a support from the top management, then the TQM cannot be implemented. Quality is not a quick fix. It is not identifying a defect after it is produced. It is more into the design, more into the process, more into the system. So these are, many companies doesn't have that vision of quality. They think that uh, they can produce, and if there is a defect, they will identify it. But that's not the way quality can be improved. Um, it has to be an integral part of the system. And that's the way can improvement can happen in the long time. You also TQM also need leaders within uh, the organization, in different departments of the organization, who are proponents uh, of quality, who try to improve quality out of their own. So these, if there are not that many leaders in the organization, um, then the TQM may not be successful. After the implementation is done, again you have to conduct another study. You have to collect data, analyze it, and see whether any improvement has happened or not. Again, if the improvement doesn't happen, or as we said that there has to be continuous improvement, then you have to act on it, then find out new ways of improving your the process, um, new trainings which are to be given to the workers. So this is the PDSA cycle. Mm. This figure talks about another problem solving skill based on that PDSA. We see over here it is it's broken down into finer pieces. Again, it is nothing but what we have talked in the previous slide. It includes plan, do, study, act, and we see those finer divisions of plan, do, study, act. Process improvement. Um, Whenever a process is to be improved, there has to be proper. First, select a process. It is studied. It is documented. It is analyzed to find out ways of improving. Uh, Finally, it the path which is to be taken to improve it is finalized. It is designed. Once it is designed, then it is implemented. After the implementation is done, whether it has done any improvement or not, for that you have to collect data and analyze it. That is the evaluation phase. And after that, again, you have to document it. So this process continues. This is the process improvement cycle. Now there are different tools which are being used to measure quality. Some of the basic tools are flowchart. In flowchart, this is a um, there are some standard um, tools which are used in the flowchart. Those green boxes are any actions which are taken. The diamonds are the decisions. Uh, you implement something. If improvement is done, you go forward. If not, you again go back and make some change. So again, I'm repeating, the green boxes are some task which is to be done, and the diamond is decision or route. Whether if yes, it goes forward, no, it loops back. So it continues that way. The next process which is being used for quality improvement is check sheet. What is it? Um, Say there are number of defects which can happen in a product, defect A, B, and C. You collect data on each of these defects, how they occur on different days. So, so if you take a look at the figure over here, like defect A, um, among all these days, it's shown over here 4 days a week. We see that on the third day, um, the frequency of the defect day is more. For the defect C, it is on the fourth day when it occurs more frequently. So if you can identify when the defects occur, then you can try to understand what is the cause of the defect occurring on a particular day. Maybe on Thursday evening, workers are tired, and because of that, the defect C is happening. So, based on this inference, some remedial measures can be taken. The other is a scatter plot where we have variable A and variable B, um, and we try to understand the correlation between these two, variable A and variable B. Most often we have independent variable on the x-axis and dependent on the b-axis, and try to see what type of correlation exists, whether one can be increased or decreased to have some influence on the other variable. Control chart. In a control chart, we can set the upper control limit, uh, UCL, or the lower control limit. So you have a particular, say, a marker which has got a diameter. So you set the mean diameter, the upper control limit, and the lower control limit, and then try to take some samples and see whether they fall within these two extreme limits. Next is the cause and effect diagram. This is also called the fishbone diagram. Um, we logically try to analyze how things are um, accomplished. Uh, what are the materials which goes in? What are the components of the materials? What are the different type of people or worker who are working on a particular project? How you can subdivide them. So you basically try to identify the branches and see where the defect lies and how they are correlated with one another. This is the cause and effect diagram, also known as the fishbone diagram. In some organizations, they form quality benchmarking process, I think we have talked about this before. Um, in this benchmarking process, companies who are excellent, um, who has got a name in the market, they're identified, the different ways they achieve things, the standards that are analyzed and understood, the existing process in the organization is analyzed critically to find the gap between what is to be achieved and where you are right now. So based on that, important steps are taken so that the the target standard can be achieved within certain span of time. So that is the benchmarking process. So identifying uh, the the target standard, and then understanding the present standard, or the present process, understanding the gap and taking necessary steps to bridge that gap. So that is benchmarking. So our chapter ends here. We have taken a look, maybe a macro level look at what is quality, what are the different aspects of quality, both for product and service. What is TQM? What is being lean in manufacturing? We also have looked into some of the ISO standards. What are the different components of that ISO standard? How international influence has changed the way US manufacturers uh, look into quality. So our chapter ends here, and thank you for listening to my presentation.